I am so excited to have you here today, Hanadie.
I'm honored.
You are the epitome of what we look for in the kids and teens that are part of our program. And you're already doing it yourself.
I'm very honored.
You call yourself the Kidpreneur coach. So tell me a little bit about how that started, what inspired it, and like a little bit about your story.
Okay, so what inspired me to become the Kidpreneur coach?
Yeah.
So it actually started of just like I really wanted to grow on social media. I just didn't know how. And I was like looking for kidpreneurs to interview on my podcast before the Kidpreneur coach came. And I was just like, there's only about a handful of them. It's only about like 10 I could see. So I was like, what do I do? So me and my mom were like sitting with it for a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks. So we were sitting with it and we were like, what if there's kids out there who want to start businesses, but they just don't know how, or they think they're too young to? So that's when I became the Kidpreneur coach, and I've got like all this information. So I basically just wanted to share this information and inspire kids to become kidpreneurs.
That's awesome. Props to you. I know that a lot of kids and teens don't end up going down this path. It's a very untraditional path. I mean, I know personally that when I was growing up, my sister and I would, do similar things and be in a similar space, but there really is only a handful. So, well done for being one of those people who step outside the box.
Thank you.
So, you started off as the Kidpreneur coach and sharing on social media, and I know you have a podcast. So, tell me a little bit about that.
So my podcast, I think I'm going to, this is just a little secret.
Okay.
I think I'm going to eventually change the name of my podcast. But as of right now, my podcast is about helping tweens, because I think people skip to like, okay, child, toddler, baby, and then straight to teenager. And they skip over that little bit of a gap there. So I wanted to be one of the first kids to start a podcast and hopefully get a whole bunch of kids to understand that they're not alone in this like somewhat of a deep water before teenhood. So it's not as hard as teenhood, but it's
definitely not as easy.
Not easy.
I don't think there's any point in life that's easy. There's struggles no matter what age you are.
Right.
And I feel like at your age, you're dealing with school, you're shaping your identity, you're becoming the I mean, not yet, but the woman that you were meant to be. And so, that's a great age to start, having those conversations about like business and about, what you want to do in life. And so it's really awesome that you found some of these passions so early on.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's dive into some of your passions. What are your passions?
Okay, so my main passions are being the Kidpreneur coach and then being an actress. Those are like my two main passions. Like as a business-wise, those are my two main passions. It's being the Kidpreneur coach, growing my podcast, which the podcast is eventually going to become a part of the Kidpreneur coach.
Yeah.
And being an actress and growing as an actress, as a social media star, just all good stuff.
That's awesome. And so what do you think you have learned by, becoming the Kidpreneur coach, by doing the podcast? Because those are things that most people don't do, and I'm sure that you probably learned a lot from it.
What have I learned from being the Kidpreneur coach? I've definitely learned, because at first when I started it, I was like, people are going to want to watch this. People aren't going to want to know this stuff. And then as I started doing it, I realized there's actually kids out there who truly want to do it. So that's one of the big things I learned. I was just like, nobody's going to want to see this, but I just want to give it a shot. And then as like I keep on posting videos, there's a lot of people like, thanks, I needed that. They're like, or I'll see like people who like the video, and I'm like, a lot of them are like kids my age who are liking these videos. And at first, I thought it was just a couple of adults. Yeah.
But so you have kids that are actually reaching out to you and saying like, hey, like this is really cool, really awesome.
Yeah,
that's really cool. I know that inside of the program that we have a lot of adults, we have a lot of parents, and so it's really awesome to see that you're able to reach out and connect with kids that maybe want to do something similar. So that's really awesome. So you're a 9-year-old author.
5-year-old.
5-year-old author.
Yeah.
So you wrote the book when you were 5 years old?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Tell me a little bit more about what inspired you to write a book at 5 years old.
So, when I was 5 years old, we used to like my teacher used to read a whole bunch of books, and I noticed that all these books were written by adults, and I was just like, what if I could write a book? And so I still have this stuffed animal. His name is Teddy, and he goes everywhere with me. So I figured, let me write a story about me and my teddy bear. I came to my mom with the story, and the book came out a year later.
Wow. So like, what was the process of like writing that book and getting, I assume it's illustrated, right? So you have pictures and all that in there. So how involved were you in that whole process of creating the book?
I was mainly involved with the story. I was a 5-year-old with a big imagination. so I was obviously like, Teddy goes to preschool with me, and he eats all the apples, and he gets a tummy ache, and he feels really sick, so I have to go check on him. So I had a really, really big imagination. I was mainly involved with the writing for the most part.
Okay, awesome.
And then my mom kind of handled the rest.
That's really cool that you have such a supportive,
Very supportive.
So like, what would you say to a parent that maybe wants to help support their kids, either, start a business or maybe even write a book?
So I think I would mainly say, if you're seeing a passion in them, don't be afraid to just pull it out. Because they may think, oh, my parents is going to support me with this. Oh, they may not support me with this. So if you see a passion in your kid, don't be afraid to just tug them out of it.
I think that's such good advice. I think a lot of parents are sometimes, they either pull too hard or they don't pull at all.
Yeah.
So pulling in a healthy way to be like, hey, I noticed that you kind of want to do this, or maybe you have an interest in this.
Let me sign you up for a little class here. Let me help you film a video here. Just mainly don't tug too hard, but make sure you help in some way, shape, or form if you see this passion.
That's such a good answer. And so who is someone that you look up to?
My mom.
Yeah?
100% my mom.
And why is that?
Before I even became the Kidpreneur coach, and before I even started exploring my passions, I've always seen my mom work very, very hard. So I think I mainly get my Kidpreneur from my mom because she was an entrepreneur.
So you grew up seeing your mom as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And how do you think that shaped you as a person? Because seeing your mom doing all these things that entrepreneurs do, the hustle, the grind, and working really hard, how do you think that impacted you?
I just got the same personality.
You just took it all for yourself.
I just
you're like, I'll take all the good bits. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, nice. I know for me that a big inspiration has always been my dad. And it's probably for similar reasons, because I've always seen him, work really hard and hustle and, network with people and connect with like-minded individuals. And it was always so inspiring for me. And I'm not going to lie, I probably did the same. I took on this personality for myself too. So I can definitely relate to that. But that's really inspiring.
It is. She's a very big person that plays into my life.
and so you took on, the stuff, seeing your mom growing up and being an entrepreneur, and now you're kind of following her footsteps in a way. Have you started any businesses?
So this year I'm looking to monetize my podcast. So, and then I wrote my book.
Yeah.
So those are my main businesses per se.
Firstly, I just want to say that I don't think I've ever heard a 9-year-old say monetize. So you are so ahead of the game. You are unlike most. I hope you know this, that you are such an inspiration.
Thank you.
Most kids and teens your age have never heard of or said the word monetize ever. So well done. I know that for anybody who's watching or listening to this, that you probably learned a new word today if you're a kid or teen, and go ahead and Google that right now, because it's a word that you'll probably hear more of as you do more in the business space.
I don't know. I kind of thought maybe everyone knew monetize, but
oh no, it's awesome that you do. It's super cool that you do. So what's your goal for the next year?
My goal for the next year is to inspire kids like me. I want to at least inspire 100 kids to get up and go start those businesses.
What kind of businesses?
Like anything that they're really passionate about, like maybe start selling their art, or if they love candy, sell candy. Just really explore their passions and take charge on it.
That's a good answer. And why do you think it's important for, kids and teens or, people your age to start doing these kind of things?
Because I think when they get older, they're gonna be like, because they're gonna eventually see somebody doing it. When they get older, they're gonna realize, man, I could have done that from a young age. Man, I wish I had done this. So I want everyone to really explore their passions. So when they grow up, they're not doing a job that they don't love.
That's such a good answer. So many parents, I think, that we've spoken to, we've asked, like, hey, if you could go back in time, what would you have done differently? And almost like every parent or person that we've talked to have always said similar things. Like, oh, I wish I could go back and have started doing this earlier. And so the fact that you're actually taking that one next step and talking to kids as a kid is super inspiring, because I think there's only so many kids that are going to listen to adults.
Right.
Right? Like, I think
eventually it gets annoying that it's like, hey, you need to do this, you need to sell this, you need to do this. I think eventually it gets annoying. It's like, you're just an adult, that's what you're gonna say.
But someone as a kid talking to other kids, you're like, oh, this is something that we can share. And somebody that, is my age, and you can work together on it versus just being told what to do.
Yeah.
And it's a very different dynamic, which is really awesome.
Right.
Okay, so if you could donate to a charity or a cause, what would you choose?
Can I choose two?
Sure. Overachiever over here.
So the first one I would donate to is homelessness. I've always wanted to do that since I was like 4 and I realized what it was. Because it was always really hard to go home knowing that I was going to get into a snuggly bed and they're probably going to end up sleeping on the streets. And it's very, very cold out there and it's not a good place to be in.
Yeah.
So number 1 would be homelessness. The next place I would donate to would probably be higher education.
That's a good answer.
Higher education for people of color.
That's awesome. And why do you feel so passionate about that?
Because I used to go to public school. I'm homeschooled now. And I know a lot of the kids I used to go to school with are probably not getting the greatest middle school education right now. And they're probably like, 1, 2, 3. And I know some of their other classmates are probably getting extra support from their teacher, or I just feel really, really upset about that.
I see what you're saying, and I know that. So my sister and I were homeschooled. I started homeschooling when I was 10. She was.
That's around the same age I started.
Oh, there we go. And then my sister actually started. She's 4 years younger than me, and so she started when she was 6. And for about 5 years, we traveled the world. And
that's what my mom wanted to do.
I fully recommend it.
It was great.
It was an amazing experience. You get to learn so much about the world, and you get to learn things that you don't necessarily get taught in school,
right.
Which I think you can really understand.
I highly understand. I went to school for ever since I could go until I was like about 9. My mom was like, "Okay, come on, we're gonna home." Well, I said I wanted to homeschool first.
Oh, okay. What made you choose that?
Well, because I think I was like watching a video in school and it said something about homeschooling and the kids seemed to be so much happier, and I hated school. I absolutely hated it. I dreaded going to it every day.
And why is that?
Because we were super cramped up in classrooms all day, and I feel like we were just keep on learning the same thing just on a higher level, and it just wasn't doing anything for me.
Interesting. And so what are some of the things that you probably learned by being homeschooled?
Learned by being homeschooled?
Yeah.
So the things I've learned from being homeschooled is how to be a better kidpreneur. I've definitely learned a lot of my entrepreneur skills from homeschooled.
Okay. So like what kind of things did you learn?
I learned, this is a hard one.
By all means, take your time.
I learned all about business terms because I never knew I could even start a business. Before my mom started homeschooling me and told me all these things. So I learned I can start my own business, what kind of businesses I can start, what a nonprofit was, what a profit was, business terms, like all of very important things for business.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the skills that you learn in business, like marketing and social media and networking, which is like connecting with, you know, people that can grow your circle and expand who you know, especially in the business world, are all things that aren't necessarily, they're not really taught in school. Right? And so then at a certain point, if you are interested in getting in the business world, which some people are not, but if you are,
I completely understand. It's very hard.
It's very hard, right? And so that's a really important note that you mentioned, actually. Being an entrepreneur is hard.
Yeah, it's a lot of commitment, especially as a kid.
Yeah. So it's no easy task to be an entrepreneur, especially as a kid, because it does take a lot of time and effort, and so it's not for everybody. But if you can learn those skills and can do those things, then
it's an awesome thing.
Right? Since we're talking about business, what would be one piece of advice to kids or teens that want to start a business?
You absolutely have to be sure you want to do it, and you got to be confident in it. Because a lot can happen, so you have to be ready to just be really quick, and you can't shut down with it. So that's why you always have to be confident. That's the biggest point.
Confidence is key.
Yes.
That's what I like to say. And being confident can mean a lot of different things for a lot of different people. So what does confidence mean to you?
Confidence means to me is being ready for anything. So being ready if someone stole your name and everyone who wants to order from you, or someone sabotaged your business, or your business got shut down. Let's say you hypothetically own a bakery. The government takes away your shop. So you just gotta be ready for anything, because if you're not confident, the moment something goes wrong, everything shuts down.
So being adaptable to change and being confident in knowing that, hey, I can work things out.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a really good answer. Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you a similar question, but about parents. So if you could give one piece of advice to parents, what would your piece of advice be?
Just be ready to help. If your parent, it starts with the support from the parents. It starts from the top all the way down. So you can't be like, that business isn't gonna work, or I don't think you should do that. You gotta help your kids with their confidence. You can't shut them down and be like, I don't think you should, I don't like that business idea, or I don't think that's gonna work, because then eventually the kids are gonna be like, maybe this can't work, or like, I can't do it. And they're just gonna miss out on this really big opportunity simply because of this one phrase you said.
That's really important, because a lot of kids and teens are falling into patterns where they're taking on beliefs that don't necessarily support them.
Yeah.
And a lot of that does tend to come from parents. And parents try to do their best. They have so much going on themselves.
Yeah.
But it is important that when parents come to their kids and want to support them, that they're supporting them in the best way that they can.
Even if deep down you're like, this may not work, you still should be like, this is gonna work. You should definitely do that. It doesn't matter what your opinion is. You just gotta be ready to be there for them.
Yeah. And also on top of that, it's okay if the business fails.
Totally.
Because that's a learning lesson in of itself, right?
Right. I've had to switch over my social media ideas at least 5 times.
As someone who works in social media, it will never end. It will never end. You're gonna constantly keep switching out ideas and changing, and that's part of life, right? You gotta be, as you said, confident in the fact that things are gonna change, and you're gonna keep switching things around, and knowing that it's okay. And
it's totally fine. If you have to restart the business or get a different idea or start fresh, it's okay. At least you tried it.
That's a really good point. That's a really, really good point. Okay, so let me ask you another question. What is the bravest thing that you've done?
This is gonna be more of a funny one.
Okay.
But probably jump in the pool, like, with my full clothes on, not in the swimsuit.
Just like fully clothed, jumped in the pool. What was the story behind that?
Well, my friend had did it, everybody else had did it, so I was just like, I'm gonna try. So my mom was sitting there, so I took my glasses off, I gave her my phone, I said, hey, can I jump in the pool with my clothes on? She goes, yeah. I don't think she was expecting me to do it. And so I was just like, so I breathed a couple of times, and then next thing you know, I was in the pool and I was soaking wet.
That's awesome. And so I got a question for you. So you are, acting and doing all that kind of stuff, which is super cool. What have you learned by doing that?
I've definitely, because before I was acting, I was just like, oh, this is easy. You get in front of the camera, you say a couple of lines and cut. So as an actress, I've learned how hard it is and how much these actors put in, and they don't just act and they say a couple of lines and they just get millions of dollars. I learned they put so much more work into it.
So you've learned that actors put in a lot of work and time, and so I'm assuming that you yourself probably have to be really not strict per se, but you have to be on top of the things that you're doing because you have homeschooling, you have your friends, I'm assuming, you have acting, you have the Kidpreneur coach, you have a lot going on. So how do you organize all of that, and how do you stay on top of it?
How do I organize it? So how do I organize it? So the thing about it is my friends are mostly in school most of the time. So we're all in one big friend group, so if I can't hang out, they have each other. So it's not like there's just this one friend that I'm always linking, I'm always leaving. So that's how so when I can't go outside, I do. When I do hang out with my friends. And then with the Kidpreneur coach, it's like my homeschool day. I take, like, my homeschool is filming all of those videos.
That's awesome. So do you learn like the regular kind of school stuff?
No, I don't do traditional school.
Okay, nice. You're taking a different route. I took a very different route with my education too, so I can appreciate that. And just for the people listening to this, know that there's no one way of education.
Right. There's so many different ways.
And so if you find a way that works for you,
go for it.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better. That's awesome. So let me ask you the next question. What is success to you?
What is success for me? So success to me is just feeling happy in where you are. So, I'm very successful right now because I'm happy with what I'm doing. So success can be, selling your favorite TV shirt, or I said that wrong. Selling all of your shirts that you made. That can be successful. But are you happy? So you can sell all those shirts, but you're gonna be unhappy. So it's a great success, but if you're not happy, then what's the point?
That's a good answer. I think that a lot of people, especially people that have businesses or are entrepreneurs, they tend to link happiness and success to like one specific point, right? Like there's one goal, which is amazing, go after the goal, but that's such a unique way to view success, because I think happiness, if you're not happy as a person, then as you said, what's the point?
What's the point? Success is happiness to me, and it could be different for someone else, but if you're not happy, then what's the point?
Awesome. So what is your favorite book?
What is my favorite book?
Other than your own.
What is my favorite book? So my favorite book is this book, and it's kind of like a black girl version of Harry Potter, and the book is called Omari and the Night Brothers. And I'm still waiting for the second book. And that was my favorite book that I had ever read. It took me like 1 month, and I got it, and I read the whole thing.
And why is that your favorite book?
It was like one of those books that pulled me in, and I'm not a huge book person, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a huge book person. So it was one of those books that made me feel like I was watching something. And it was one of those, it was like one of like 5 books that had actually got me invested in it.
Cool. And if you had to say that, if you learned something from the book, because I feel like everything, you can learn from anything, right? What do you think you learned from it?
What have I learned from that book? I haven't read the book in so long.
It's okay if you don't have an answer.
What have I learned from the book? It was like, it's been like 6 months since I read it, so I can't really think back to it. Let's see.
If you don't have an answer, it's all good.
Okay.
We can move on to the next question. You're all good. I know that, some people are like, yeah, I love this book because it made me feel like I was, going to a different land or whatever.
Oh,
and
okay.
stuff like that.
I didn't know I can do an answer like that.
You could, yeah. Feel free to. It's an open space.
So I actually felt like I was in the book, like I was a character in the book. So I wasn't necessarily learning something as much as I felt something with the book.
So you felt like connected and something, which is important. I think in today's day and age, we have a lot of people who don't feel connected, and so by reading books and doing different things like that, you kind of get to feel part of something.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to feel part of something, which is why we love having a community of like-minded kids like yourself, because we can come together and be part of something together, which is the kidpreneur world, which is kind of cool, huh? So, if you had $1 million, what would you do with it?
So I would first give a lot of it to my family. So I have like about half of it left. Then I would donate a lot of it to my 2 charities I wanted to donate to. And then the last bit I would use to buy a puppy.
What kind of puppy do you want?
I want a Yorkie.
A Yorkie?
Yeah.
Interesting. We have a little golden doodle at home. And she's like the cutest thing. She steals all of our socks though. That's a really cool answer. And why do you want to give, half of it to your family?
Because I promised I would.
Oh.
I promised I would, and my family is very, very supportive of me, so I want to give back to them as soon as I can.
That's really sweet of you to say. I know that a lot of kids don't necessarily have the same answer. They, a lot of times want to spend it on, all sorts of different things, which is fine.
It's fine.
But
go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. It's your money. Go ahead. But to put that and give that to your family, that's really admirable. So thank you for sharing that. My follow-up question to that is, why do you think it's important to learn about money?
Why do I think it's important to learn about money? So I'm just going to tell a little story here.
Sure.
Not exact, it's a fake story. So let's say you give your kid $100. It's a couple of weeks before, back to school season. You're hoping that they're going to buy a new lunch bag, a new backpack, and some school supplies, and a couple of things for their lunch. But that's in your mind. You didn't tell them that. But your kids is thinking, new gaming setup, new toys, a new grand sleepover with my friends. I'm going to give half of it to my friends so we can go to the mall and spend it all. So I think it's super important to teach the value of $1, because they don't know that they do know that you go to work every day, but they don't know how hard it was to earn that simple $100.
That's a really good answer, and it's so true. So many parents, and they'll work really hard for the money, and kids will never really connect the dots until themselves.
They just think, hey, you drop me off at school, you go to work for a couple of hours, and hey, we have a house, we're living, whatever.
And they don't really take that next step to understand, okay, what did it take to earn that dollar?
This $100 that you're giving me, what did it take to earn it? What do you want me to do with this? How can I use it to better for my business, or can I start a business with this?
And so when it comes to money, what's something that maybe you've learned that you think other kids should learn?
How to be more responsible with it. If you gave me $100 1 year ago and said spend it wisely, you're gonna come back and the money's gonna be spent in about a day, and it's gonna be on useless stuff.
And now?
Now I probably would take maybe $25 for myself and save the rest.
Wow, that's really awesome. So one thing that we teach inside of Financial Freedom is a simple saving system. And maybe this is something that you can implement going forward that can help you one step further, because that is amazing that you're even doing that now. But how can we take this one step further? So we like to split any money that we receive 4 ways. So between give, save, invest, and spend. Right?
I never heard of that.
Right? It's pretty cool. So you have 50% of everything that you make goes into spend. Because, spending is okay. You're gonna want to spend on things. As you said, kids, your age are probably gonna want to, get a new, toy or, go to the movies or whatever it is, right? So 50% can go into spend. Then 20% can go into save.
Ooh, okay.
20% can go to invest.
Okay.
And 10% goes into give. So give is about giving back to society. So the 2 charities that you chose?
Yeah.
You can actually take the 10% of everything, you make or, whatever it is. Even if you get like allowance or, family money from like your grandparents or, whatever it is, you can actually take some of that and give it to the charities.
I can buy stuff for like little bags or...
Exactly. You can, whatever it is, whether you, go and, create, I used to create peace packs with an organization called Kids for Peace. And we used to put all sorts of little bits and bobs for people that needed it. So whether it was the homeless.
Like a toothbrush.
Exactly. Exactly. So you can do that with the 10% or just, donate it, to each their own. And then, 20% goes into saving it. So just putting it in a piggy bank or even a bank account if you have it. And then 20% goes into invest. Now this is where a lot of parents don't really tend to talk about a lot. And it's actually investing your money so that you have money, but it can grow and grow and grow over time. So that's something that maybe you can implement, going forward. That can help.
Definitely will.
That's awesome. Okay, so what makes you happy? What makes you the happiest?
What makes me the happiest? When I'm with my family, because almost every other weekend if I'm not working, me and my family will have a family night where we'll just watch random stuff that we find and we order food and we just chill. So that's some of my favorite things to do. And then being on set, acting, and then making my Kidpreneur videos. That's what makes me happiest.
That's awesome. And why do you think family time is so valuable to you?
Because I work all the time and my whole family works. So if we don't take that time to slow down, then we never really stop. So then when we do stop, it's like, hi, and then everybody goes off to their room.
Yeah, and I think even if you're, not working, you're like a 9-year-old, I'm just gonna go to work today. And most people your age are not necessarily, working at your age, but they still have very busy lives.
I'm actually 11.
You're 11 now?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for correcting me. So you're 11 now, but with everything that you're doing, still amazing. And most 11-year-olds are not doing that either. So with coming back and spending time with your family and doing that, I think a lot of families would really appreciate that time to stop. Because most families don't take that time to stop. They have kids in school, or you're working.
Everybody comes home from school on the weekend, and then the parents go off to their room, and the kids go off to their room, and that weekend is just silent.
So, what would you suggest a family that wants to spend more time together do?
I highly suggest a random family movie night. I highly suggest ordering food, ordering cookies, and sitting up, and everyone sit at the couch and watch anything you can find.
I love that answer because my family, we do that a lot too. Ever since I was, as long as I can remember, we came together and watched movies. And we loved watching movies because it allowed us to, as you said, transport into a different place together and, go into, what it's like to be like a superhero and all that kind of stuff. We're big fans of Marvel, so we love when we get to come together and watch those things together because it brings us closer together. Right. And I think in today where it's so easy to go off into your own room and just do your own thing.
Right. It's very easy to.
Yeah, taking that time to just stop. Just spend time.
Yeah, because other than that weekend's going to be silent. You guys may see each other in the kitchen maybe once or twice, and then that's it.
That's so true. Okay, so what do you want to do when you grow up? How do you see yourself in the future?
What do I want to do when I grow up? I don't want to do anything when I grow up. I am already doing it.
I love that answer. Elaborate some more for me.
So I think a lot of people ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? And that's essentially saying you can't do anything until you grow up.
It's a good point. It's a good point because you're already doing things that you want to do.
Right. So I think in the future I'm just going to be older and be able to grow it more.
And do it more and see where life takes you. So that's a really good answer. Okay. So what do you know that you think you could teach others?
How to be a kidpreneur. I know a lot of entrepreneur skills that I could teach to kids who maybe want to know, or show them what I do know, even if they don't want to do it. It's still a good skill to have.
Okay, so what are your top 3 kidpreneur tips?
Be confident.
Okay.
And know what you're doing. And then my last one would probably be to enjoy it. It doesn't always have to be so serious, because if it's serious, you're going to have a really tough time.
That's such a good answer.
If it's always serious business, then you're not going to enjoy what you're going to do.
Those are good 3 tips. I love it. So we don't have any more questions that I've listed out, but I'd love to continue just recording for a little bit longer and just see if there's anything that comes up that we can talk about. So you started homeschooling at 9, and you're 11 now.
Yeah.
Okay. And so how does homeschooling make you feel?
Like I'm on top of the world.
And how's that?
I love it so much more because it's introduced me to so much more things I can do. Because when I was in school, I just felt like, hey, you go to school, you learn, and then you have a job in the future. With homeschool, you're like, you chase your dreams and then school follows.
That's an interesting way to look at it. I love that. You chase your dream and school follows. So when it comes to this type of stuff you're learning with entrepreneurship, have you read any entrepreneurial books?
Me and my mom are trying to, but we're so busy. So we're trying to read Rich Dad Poor Dad right now.
Awesome. And what's something that you've learned so far from reading it?
I've definitely learned how different people think. Someone who an entrepreneur thinks, hey, how can I get this? And somebody else may say, I can't do it. I cannot do it. And someone says, how can I do it?
And why do you think that mindset is so important to be aware of?
Because I think that mindset is super important, because if you think, I can't do it, you're not going to be able to do it. But if you think, how can I do it? Then you already have that mindset ready to work and figure it out. Because if you generally want to figure it out, then you're going to do it. But if you're like, I don't know,
then you won't.
Then you won't. Then you don't get it.
It's so funny that you say that, because I think I just put a post up on my personal social media channel about that exact thing, about how there are certain words that people say that actually stop them from achieving what they want to do or changing whatever it is.
I can't do that.
Exactly. So the words I can't do that, or I can never do that, or
that's too hard.
That's too hard, or anything like that puts something set in stone, your brain will listen to it.
Right. So even if it's just a quick phrase here, your brain is like, okay, you can't do it, let's get past it. And then just move on to the next thing, and you just miss that whole bus.
That's so true. So if someone catches themselves saying, I can't do it, what would you suggest they change so that they can think more positively?
So if you accidentally say it, just say, wait, never mind, I can.
Ooh, okay, just a real quick,
yeah,
hey, wait, and pause and know that, hey, catch yourself in that moment.
Yeah.
And then say, wait a minute, I can.
Yeah.
I love that.
Even if it's something you don't want to do, it could be something you want to do in the future. But if you say that, your brain is already gonna put a stone on it.
That's such a good answer, and such an important note to think about, because so many people do that. Whether it's little things or big things, if that mindset is in place where you can't do something, as you said, you won't be able to.
You won't.
Okay, so you make a lot of TikTok videos and social media videos, which I love. I was scrolling through them myself, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. How do you go about creating those in terms of like deciding what kind of video you want to share?
So me and my mom, we wake up, we process, eat breakfast and all that stuff. Then we come to the table and we say, what can we record today? And then we both think about it. We both think about a Kidpreneur video and what business tips could I share today. And then after we sit for it for about 15 minutes, anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes, then we're like, oh, okay, we can film this. So then we go get set up, we film it, and then my mom edits and posts them.
That's awesome. So I like to say teamwork makes the dream work.
Yes.
So is your mom like your number one team member?
Yes.
That's awesome. I love that.
My mom actually manages me full time.
Oh, awesome. That's really cool. So you work together and you get to create together. That's so fun. And I bet that really bonds you closer and makes you excited to work on things together.
Yeah.
So obviously you're 11 years old,
right,
and you're a kid. And so you have all these amazing projects that you're doing. How do you balance being a kid and all the stuff that you're doing on the other side?
My mom makes it very easy to balance that. She's like, hey, I'll reply. She's like, hey, I'm applying for this role. You film this audition really quick. You can knock that out, and then you can go outside with your friends today. So my mom makes it very easy to balance that stuff, because she's always like there for me, and she's always like, hey, if you do this really quickly, you can go here, and I'll handle the rest of it. And I'll be like, you sure? She's like, yeah, do it right now. And then she kicks me out.
Kicks me out. I think that's so great of your mom, firstly, and on top of that,
help.
which goes back to my initial thought was that having a support system is super important.
Very important.
Especially as someone as young as you, doing as many things as you are, having a support system to help is a great way so that you can actually grow and flourish in all areas of your life. That's awesome. And so my last question for you, if you had just one piece of advice for kids who want to, grow their life, what would it be?
Like grow their business, or just grow as a person?
Grow as a person.
Just always be willing to learn. Always be willing to improve yourself. Don't say, I'm perfectly fine. If someone's being mean about it, then ignore them. But if someone's saying, hey, I think you're feeling a little off lately, maybe you should take some time to yourself. Take some time to yourself. You just always gotta be willing to learn from someone else, from yourself, and don't be afraid to talk to yourself. I talk to myself all the time.
That's such a good answer. I love that, and that's so true. We're all about learning, with financial freedom and taking that step and being open to learning at any point in time from anyone. So I think that's such a good answer. Thank you so much for sharing.
Of course.
You do awesome stuff with, your whole Kidpreneur coach and the podcast and the fact that you had a book, at 5 years old. But what are some hobbies that you have outside of that kind of stuff that you do?
I love swimming. I absolutely love swimming. I've been trying to get to the pool. For weeks, but it's always been too chilly. So I'm just praying that I get once any day. So going to the pool, watching TV shows. So when I'm not making them, I'm watching them.
That makes sense. What's your favorite TV show right now?
My favorite TV show right now would probably be, I finished it all, but Raising Beyond.
Oh, okay, nice. I know that my sister was watching that for a while. I haven't personally watched it, so maybe I'll add it to my...
You have to.
Okay. I'll add it to my list just for you. So, on a different note, what would you consider, what does it mean to be rich to you?
What does it mean to be rich to me? So, obviously, you make a lot of money, you get a lot of money, you have a lot of money. That's being rich. But it's also good to be wealthy. So as personality-wise, like, are you spiritually balanced? Are you happy? Do you have a lot of friends? Are you in a good place with yourself right now? Are you confident? So that's what I think it means to be rich in personality and business.
That is such a good answer. I was not expecting to be that blown off my feet. That is such a good answer, and it really is so incredible that you know this at your age. So I really gotta say that I'm so, I haven't known you for that long, but I'm so proud of you as just a person and what you're doing in life and what you know so far. It's absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
So if somebody wants to find you and connect with you, how can they do that?
They can find me, all my social medias are lifewithnadie@gmail.com, and my podcast is 9.5 Podcast.
Awesome. So I'll make sure that I add that and tag you wherever we share this stuff. But it was so great having you here today.
Oh, thank you. I highly enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. I'm going to give you a hug because it was so great meeting you and
It was nice to
connecting.
meet you too.
And I can't wait to share this with everybody.
I'm very excited to watch it back.
Okay, awesome.